Hello everyone. In our previous video we discussed about the basic sentence structure where we understood what is a subject and what is a predicate. So in this video we are going to focus upon the technicalities as well and understand the nuances in such a way that whenever we frame sentences, we frame correct sentences, and we also understand how to frame these sentences as well. So the lesson plan is a basic sentence structure will be taken and discussed. Then we'll have a bit of discussion on the role of auxiliaries or the helping verbs, and we will see what are verbs and their different forms, and tenses and how they are correlated when we form a sentence. So what is a basic sentence structure? So subject plus verb is the simplest of verb patterns, as we discussed in our previous video, that she danced. So here dancing is expressing the entire action and she is the subject. So this subject plus verb is the simplest of verb patterns which can give us a complete sentence. So we are going to use that as a reference point and learn how to frame correct sentences. The subject is followed by an intransitive verb. So it's a very interesting term over here, intransitive verb. What's the meaning of intransitive verb? Intransitive verb means where the action does not get transferred from the doer to something else. There the action is performed by the doer and does not get transferred to anything else in the picture. That is called an intransitive verb, which expresses complete sense without the help of any other words. Now have a look at some examples. Birds fly. So here the bird is flying and the process of flying is done by the bird itself. So here the action is not getting transferred to any other object or person or source. That's why fly is an intransitive verb in this case. Fire burns. So once again the process of burning happens. In that, fire is burning something. It is doing something on its own. The moon is shining. So here the moon is shining. So the process is once again happening purely through the moon where no one else is involved. The baby is crying. So the action is not getting transferred to any other object. Let me give you one example where the action gets transferred. I kicked the football. So here the process of kicking is transferred to the football, which in turn will move somewhere else. So there it is not an intransitive verb, but it is a transitive verb. The transition is happening, the movement is happening, the action is happening, moving from one source to another source. But if I just say I kicked, what will you understand by that? You can understand n number of things. Did I kick myself? Or I kicked my leg in the air, or I kicked something or somebody? So there won't be a clarity on what exactly did I do over there. Now let us look at the auxiliary verbs or helping verbs. So the verbs be, example am, is, was, etc., have and do when used with ordinary verbs to make tenses, passive forms, questions and negatives are called auxiliary verbs or auxiliaries. Auxiliary means helping. So whenever we form a sentence, the helping verb plays a very important role. So what is the role of helping verb? Helping verbs determine the tense of the sentence. So in case you want to know which tense the sentence is in, look at the helping verb. It will help you to find out which tense is the sentence in. Now there are different types of helping verbs. So to simplify the concept, we have categorized it in these ways so that you understand and implement and apply that very easily. What are singular helping verbs? So here the trick is very easy. Any helping verb which ends with s, just remember that, is a singular helping verb. For example, does, is, was, has, all of them end with s. So you have to remember this, that helping verbs ending with s, they are always singular. And what are the plural helping verbs? So let us look at the example do. So here we don't have s. Does is singular and do is the plural of that. Is singular, are is the plural of that. Was is singular, were is the plural of that. Has is singular, have is the plural of that. And there are certain helping verbs which can be used with both singular and plural subjects, which we will discuss in our subsequent videos about singular plural subjects. So they have been categorized as neutral helping verbs for simplifying the understanding over here. For example, did, had, will be, will have, shall have. Now let us understand what is a verb. So whenever we speak a sentence, besides the subject and the helping verb, we'll have the main verb as well. So verbs can be regular or irregular. So this is a very important concept. Let us understand what is a regular verb and what is an irregular verb. Regular verbs, very easy to understand. 95% of verbs in English language, they are regular verbs, and they form their past tense, that is the V2, and past participle V3 by adding ed to the base form that we call V1. So 95% of verbs, we don't need to actually remember the second and third form. We can just add ed to the base form and we can get the second and third form. Let's have a look at the example, walk. So walk is a verb, and we add ed to make V2 walked and V3 walked. Laugh, laughed, laughed. So I guess it's very easy to understand a regular verb. Second form ed, third form ed. No need to remember. The usage has to be something which we need to discuss and see. What is an irregular verb? So look at the word irregular. So that word itself says that the moment the pattern of forming V2 and V3 changes from ed, that becomes an irregular verb. So irregular verbs form their past tense V2 and past participle V3 by not adding ed to the base form, that is V1. For example, bet, bet, bet. So let's say I apply the formula of the regular verb and say bet, betted, betted. So technically it's wrong, grammatically it is wrong, but many people do that. They might not be aware about the basic rules involved in this process. So here all three forms are same. So this is type 1 irregular verb. We have many such verbs which have the same form for the first, second and third one, that is V1, V2 and V3. So this is type 1 irregular verb. The second example, beat, bet, beaten. So this is type 2 where any two forms can be same, either V1 or V2 or V2 or V3, or sometimes even V1 and V3 can be same. The third example, sing, sang, sung. This is type 3 irregular verb example where all three forms are different. So friends, in this case we have to memorize the second and third form. Otherwise we might commit mistake while writing or speaking. Now let us look at the fourth and the fifth form. Both regular and irregular verbs form their participle, that is V4, formed by adding ing to the base form V1. For example, walk, walked, walked. We added ed. So the fourth form becomes the ing form, walking. Laugh, laughed, laughed. The fourth form add ing becomes laughing. Bet, 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 betting. So fourth form is betting. Beat, bet, beaten, beating. So the fourth form is beating. Sing, sang, sung, singing. So the fourth form is singing. So we have understood how to form the V4 by adding ing. Now let us have a look at the fifth form. Both regular and irregular verbs form their singular form, that is V5 form, by adding s to the base form. So here I must clarify that whenever we add s to the base form of a verb, we always get the singular form. That means the base form V1 is always the plural form of a verb. This rule is contrastingly opposite to a noun. Whenever we add s to a noun, that becomes plural. But in case of verb or a helping verb, whenever s is there, that becomes singular. So if you remember this concept, you will never make mistakes in identifying the singular helping verb or the main verb and the plural helping verb or the main verb. Now let us look at the examples. Walk, walked, walked, walking. So the fifth form, walks. We just added s to that. Laugh, laughed, laughed, laughing, laughs. So here we have added s and we got the fifth form. Bet, 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 betting, bets. So by adding s we got the fifth form, bets. Beat, bet, beaten, beating, bets. So once again we got the fifth form by adding s. Sing, sang, sung, singing, and the fifth form should be sings. So I have not mentioned it over here because you can guess it very easily. Now let us have a look at the tenses. So you have understood what is the subject, what is the helping verb, what is the main verb, and all of them, they are used to express something which is happening at a particular time. So the word tense comes from the Latin word tempus, which means time. So the tense of a verb shows the time of an action or event. There are three main tenses: the present, the past, and the future. So obviously all of you know something which is happening at the moment is the present tense, something which already happened is the past tense, and something which is going to happen is the future tense. The tense of a verb shows not only the time of an action or event, but also the state of an action referred to. A verb that refers to present time is called present tense. A verb that